Mariachi. Oh, that's not the place. Summer, winter, anytime, Quebec City is a festival. And no wonder, it's got plenty to be festive about. Most people think of Quebec, you know, sort of when you're up to your hips in snow with ice sculptures and so forth. But there's a summer festival that is more breathtaking even than the winter one. And Quebec comes alive with musicians, jugglers, stilt walkers, everything you can think of all over the streets and then some. And the restaurants are marvelous and the hotels are wonderful and it's just a great time to have fun. We are in Quebec, in the beautiful province of Canada.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome, Barbara.
And here I am with Michel Letourneau, who is the
Executive Director of the Quebec International Summer Festival.
and that it is for that summer festival that we are here in Quebec, because we want everyone in Philadelphia and environs to know about your beautiful festival. The area is gorgeous, the city is beautiful, and the festival, I think, is going to be very exciting.
For sure, because for the next 10 days, we are going to produce some performance, classical, street arts, and song and music from 22 countries over the world.
Well, we're going to do our best. We won't catch them all, but we're going to catch a bunch of them. And I'm going to tell you what. Tonight, I'm hoping to catch that Argentine performance.
Juan Carlos Caceres,
Yes.
who is like Paolo Conte from Italy, is a crooner, a wonderful crooner, a wonderful tango crooner.
Well, I hope we're going to catch him, and we'll see you again.
See you again at the other stage. We produce some Africa Fête from music 4 countries in Africa.
Well, we're going to try to catch that too. We're going to have a good time.
For sure, I hope so.
We are now in the port of Quebec, Quebec as we call it in the United States, and this on the St. Lawrence River, where Samuel Champlain came in and claimed this area for France. This is the port, and we'll go into the old city. You see the cruise ships come here. Lots of people come to Quebec because it's such a beautiful city, full of romance, full of history, and full of good restaurants. We're here for the summer festival where they bring groups in from all over the world to entertain here, and we'll go to some of those performances as well. But for right now, let's just go look at the old city. There's a lot of cafe life here in Quebec. By the way, we're in the part of the city that dates back to the 17th century. And you can see there are sidewalk cafes. Well, here's one, but there are lots of them all throughout the old city. The new city is more like downtown Philadelphia or maybe even New York. But this old and romantic part has very French architecture, and they consider themselves, they speak French mostly here, and there's a movement to make this a separate area from Canada because it's all French culture. Square, this lovely square that I'm standing in is called the Place Royale, or the Royal Square. And you can see all the flags. You see that here they use the French flag and the Quebec flag rather than the maple leaf flag, which is the Canadian flag. It's kind of interesting to see how strongly they feel about their province. There's all kinds of street activity goes on here in the Place Royale, performers and purveyors, people selling things, people... Well, here we're going to walk over in a minute and see somebody playing the, what is he playing? A saw, I think. It's the first time I've seen someone use a violin bow to play a saw, just a plain old saw like you use to build a house. But isn't he charming? And the music he makes is kind of charming too, but it's helped along with some background music on the tape. I don't want to get in the middle of a duel here, but here are another couple of guys.
How you doing? Where'd he come from?
Philadelphia.
Fluffia.
Say hello to the people of Philadelphia.
Hello, Fluffia.
And you? Hello.
Hello, I'm James Wolfe.
Hello, James Wolfe. How very nice. And this gentleman?
Hello, I'm Carter, and I'm driving the merchandise from the bay, which used to be there, up to the merchant. Right here.
Oh, he's bringing the stuff from the bay up to the merchants in the area.
From the bay up to the market.
Oh,
To the bay
okay.
used to be there.
Backwards.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
thank you
welcome.
very much.
Bye.
This is New France in the 17th century, very early in the 17th century, actually 1608. It's early even for the US of A. See how very French the architecture is. Like old France? Yes, very much old France. In Canada, they're very, very proud of their Indian culture. And here is one of the galleries showing Iroquois Indian artifacts. Here is a totem pole, and they're all very interesting. This is a small one, but kind of nice. I think I'll bring one home. There are Eskimo artifacts as well, carvings in, I guess, basalt and in various kinds of bone and maybe even ivory. I don't know about that. I think they're really pretty stern about keeping the ecology pure at this point. We're in the lower city near the port. We're going to take a funicular, they call it a funiculaire, up to the upper city near the Chateau Frontenac. I don't know whether we'll be able to get anything on the way up or down. If we can get a view, we will, and we'll let you see it. We'll share it. We are on the funicular, looking down on the river, the old city. It's a pretty steep one, I'll tell you that, whether they call it funicula, funiculaire, funicul, whatever. It's the same principle, and it's steep. Samuel Champlain, what a noble-looking man he was. Or at least this statue makes him look very noble. We're standing here at the world-renowned Chateau Frontenac, a 612-room hotel. It's owned by the Canadian Pacific. They own some of the big, most glorious hotels. And look at this imposing architecture. And interestingly enough, no matter what part of Canada they're in, the architecture reflects the origin of the Canadian people who founded the area. We're on the 31st floor of the 29th floor, 29th floor of the Hotel Les Concorde, than which you cannot find a better view because we're 30 stories above the lower city. What you're looking at over there is the bay with the Chateau Frontenac overseeing the whole thing. You're getting a magnificent panoramic view of, and the lounge where we are on this floor, the Astral, takes an hour and a half to go all the way around to get the full view of the city. But we're looking at the best right now, I think. sitting here in the beautiful restaurant called Manoir Montmorency, and it's sort of named for the Duke of Montmorency, a historic figure who lived here at one time. It's been completely redone, and it is a magnificent restaurant, and I'm here so pleased to be able to present to you today a young chef whose name is Marie Chantal Lepage. Et vous êtes ici combien de temps, madame?
Depuis la réouverture, donc ça fait 1 an, depuis le 23 juin de l'année dernière.
L'année dernière?
Oui.
1 year she's been here, and she has turned this place in. Well, I had lunch today. We all had lunch today. I'm here with a group of writers from all over the East Coast, and we have dined so magnificently. Votre salmon fumé, your smoked salmon.
Oui. On le fait ici même. On prend du saumon frais de l'Atlantique qu'on fume. On a un fumoir qu'on fume régulièrement. Pour le plaisir des clients.
Smoked right here in the house. Vous avez fait votre training,
Où ce que j'ai étudié, j'ai pas de cours de cuisine, mais j'ai travaillé avec les plus grands chefs à Québec, dont Serge Bruyère. J'ai travaillé à Ottawa. J'ai travaillé au Melrose, qui est un restaurant gastronomique. Donc, j'ai eu des bons professeurs qui m'ont montré vraiment à travailler, mais j'ai pas fait d'école de cuisine.
She is telling us that she has studied with some of the greatest chefs in Quebec, and I will tell you that the chefs in Quebec are as fine as anything that I have had in France. I will tell you a magnificent lunch and bon appétit.
Bon appétit.
Bon appétit.
Bon appétit.
Merci.
Merci. Ça me fait plaisir.
Okay. As part of the Festival of Summer, we're walking along St. Paul Street, and St. Paul Street has lots of wonderful galleries and art shops where they do fairly traditional things. Here's one that's not at all traditional. One of the things it shows is totem poles that were made by the Indians to advertise their fishing camps when people came up here and stayed for a few weeks or months to catch the salmon that is so delightful in this part of the world. There are all kinds of other kind of Indian artifacts and gadgets here, some not so Indian, but all made by hand and all very charming. What's the address? Art Populaire is the name of the shop?
No, it's called the Couleur de Bois. Couleur de Bois.
Couleur, the color of wood.
No, it means the people who run through the woods.
Oh, the people who run through the woods. Well, could have fooled me, but anyway, they have wonderful things here. And here is another shop we're in called the Version of Soleil, a kind of sun. And things here come from all over. Sunflowers and masks from sunny countries, from Mexico, and we're in Canada, in Quebec, and it all seems right at home here, and so are we. Are about to go out on that mighty St. Lawrence River that runs alongside of this beautiful city of Quebec. It isn't a particularly fortuitous day to go out on a boat, but you can see what a colorful little vessel it is, the Saint André, and you really do feel you're in a bit of France here. I'm looking forward to the experience of being out on the river. Here we are on the river looking back at Quebec, that magnificent Chateau Frontenac, that hotel that really dominates the view of the city. But wherever you look, at the small, very old houses below or the Chateau Frontenac above, Quebec is one just joyous place to be. This is the tiny sailboat harbor, or boat harbor, I should say, leading into the village of Saint-Laurent. The big Catholic church gives the name to the village, and we're on the island of Orleans in the St. Lawrence. Very traditional, I hear. We're just coming into it now, and we're going to do a little bit of exploring on foot. Very attractive little, neat little, clean little village. Just charming. And we're now very fortunate to be in the Laurie Raphael restaurant, which is in the old part of Quebec down near St. Lawrence River. It's owned by Danielle Vezina and Suzanne Gagnon. So, if it's owned by these people as proprietors, why Laurie Raphael? I guess it's their children. Now, there we have a departure from the chef who only takes his own name for the restaurant. And I will tell you, it is absolutely lovely. It's a feeling of Paris. No, it's a feeling of Quebec. You really feel you're eating French food with a flair and a twist and a little bit of everything. You wouldn't call it Nouvelle, you'll call it Quebecoise, fine food. Remember the name, Laurie Raphael Restaurant. It's great. These streets, these charming streets where all kinds of activity goes on. This is St. Paul Street that has antique shops and little cafes, and people come here when the weather's good, and it is good in the summertime. And in the wintertime, if it's cold, well, you just get dressed up very warmly and you come outside in your ski boots and what have you, and enjoy the ambiance of the old city. And as you can tell, it is strawberry season in Quebec. Wherever there are people who like to eat, there are markets. And this is the town market. And as you can see, here are the strawberries. Many of them are grown on Orleans Island.
Île d'Orléans. That's it.
Orleans, that's where we were earlier today. But here are the strawberries brought across the St. Lawrence for sale here in the big city. We're in the Saint Amour restaurant, one of Quebec's very finest. And I don't want you to think that all there is to Quebec is its restaurants. But they do play a big part in the life of the city. Food is marvelous. It's like a trip to Paris without going across the ocean. You'll enjoy it. We are. This, you see Quebec was built as a walled city originally. That is, built by the French as a walled city. The British finished the walls, and the walls still remain. There are a few gates. This is one on the Royal Road, or the King's Highway, as it's called. And we're looking into the part of town that's known as the Latin Quarter. What's really wonderful that's going on right now is the Festival d'été, the summer festival. People are walking, children, adults, all ages, everybody enjoying, and everybody's sort of behaving. I haven't seen one rowdy crowd in the whole city, but everybody's having a good time, so let's just go join them. This funny old building was the Capitol. It's a theater dedicated to music. And as you can see from Elvis's big guitar there, they pay a lot of attention to Elvis here. Elvis' story. It is a landmark in this ancient city of Quebec. A modern note, one would say. Okay? Now we're on the Grande Allée, it is called. The big street, the big walkway, the Champs-Élysées, only we're not in Paris, we're in Quebec City. Standing here in front of another one of those wonderful restaurants, Louis Hébert, who says that his cuisine is innovative. And all along here, it's just really lively, as you can see, during this summer festival, international summer festival. And right behind me is a great big hotel where I think we did some video earlier. It's the Loews Concorde, or Loewe as they might call it in the other language. In any event, you get a sense of how wonderful and exciting this area is. And on the other side of the street, it's just as lively with more cafes. Sidewalk cafes with all these lively, pretty umbrellas and people walking and talking and little tiny hotels, and it's a little bit of Europe, only it's in North America. I'd like you to meet Didier Beck, who is the chef here at Les Chaudets, which means if you burn yourself, you're never going to do it again. And he has made us an exquisite dinner, exquisite dinner. Le foie, monsieur, le foie de veau avec une sauce de veau.
Oui, glace de viande.
Glace de viande. He has made us a veal liver, calf's liver, the like of which I've never eaten, avec beaucoup de thym. Comment?
Romarin.
Romarin. Okay, it was rosemary.
C'est ça, oui.
Was not that. Vous êtes vraiment un chef. Really a chief, that means.
Merci.
Hey, he said thank you. I thank you, monsieur.
Oui.
Now you've had a chance to experience a little bit of Quebec with its wonderful summer festival, the Festival d'été, the international festival. And you saw people all over the streets, the clean, very well maintained and very safe streets of Quebec. It was really a pleasure being there. And we had an opportunity to go, and you can too, with a new airline called Air Alliance. It's a section of Air Canada. Air Alliance, I think they call it in Philadelphia. And it goes right from Philadelphia to Montreal, and then from Montreal to Quebec City. It's an easy trip. It's like going to a really foreign country, and it's right on our same continent. It's the only walled city north of I don't know, in this part of North America, maybe in North America, and it's a wonderful experience. This is Barbara Ann Rosenberg, your roving reporter. Until next time.